Now this, the Chief Technology Officer at Palantir says the US must use AI as a slingshot against China or face economic defeat. Shyam Sankar is Palantir's Chief Technology Officer and Vice President, and he joins me now. Before we begin, I must tell our viewers that Fox News Media is currently working with Palantir to build a suite of custom AI tools. Okay, Shyam, why must we use AI as a slingshot against China?
I think the promise of AI is really that it can empower the American worker. I think the American people are being lied to about AI. On one end, you have extreme doomerism, this idea that AI is going to lead to massive job losses and oppression, potentially even the extinction of humanity. On the other end, you have utopic fantasies that, maybe no one will ever have to work again. I think the truth is neither of these things. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, and the future of AI is being determined every day. It is not predetermined for us, and it's going to be determined by the people who wield it, by the American worker in the ICU ward, on the factory floor, and how it empowers them. The opportunity in front of us is to use AI to make the American worker 50 times more productive, massively more productive than any other worker in the world, and use that as the basis to reindustrialize, to bring more jobs back home, to have our own independence and self-sufficiency.
There was a huge sell-off in software stocks Tuesday, and it continues this morning, on the theory that AI is going to replace a lot of software jobs and software functions. How do you see it?
I think people are reading too much through this too quickly here. It actually speaks to the amount of fear that generally exists. What I see happening is actually that AI is a powerful mark to market of what is real and what is fake. And people are kind of looking around. They're looking at some of the software they've bought historically, and they're saying, maybe it's not actually that valuable. It's not actually delivering results. It's not helping me transform my business right now. If you look at Palantir, we've had the 10th quarter of accelerating growth on a very substantial basis because we have really specialized, perhaps dare I say modestly, we're really the only company that has the knowledge to turn AI into economic value. And when we partner with companies in the U.S. commercial business grew 137% year over year last quarter. When we partner with companies, they're not asking us for lame things like, how do we be more efficient? How do we replace workers? They are coming to us with ambition. How does my company dominate the sector? How do we grow? How do we do something great?
What do you do with the military? I know you've got a lot of military contracts, I should say. What exactly do you do for them? Can you explain, in plain English, can you explain it to lay people?
Yeah, there are really two things that we help the military with. The first is command and control. How do I see myself? How do I see the adversary? How do I generate courses of action? There's a famous saying in the military, no plan survives first contact. So, of course, you want to enter the battle with the best possible plan, but you want to be able to replan to changing conditions as quickly as possible. And our AI platform is uniquely valuable in that context. Empowers current operations around the world. There is a second part that I think is equally important and often elided, which is that combat power comes from the factory floor. One of the lessons of Ukraine is it turns out the stockpile is not the deterrent, it's your ability to generate the stockpile. So modernizing not only the defense industrial base, but the American industrial base so that we can make more weapons more quickly, we can sustain combat power, and we can use that to deter our adversaries.
Palantir reported strong fourth quarter earnings. That report came out on Monday, a 70% revenue jump. Now look forward for us, would you? What's your outlook for the next quarter?
Well, we've issued guidance, as the CTO, I don't have all these numbers at the top of my head, but on a full year basis, we've issued guidance for 61% growth, again, off a pretty substantial base. We continue to see enormous strength in the U.S. overall, which I think speaks to a cultural disposition of rolling up our sleeves, getting busy. The military is obviously quite serious about modernizing itself, but so is the U.S. commercial sector right now.
It's really strong stuff. Shyam Sankar, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That was really illuminating. I learned a lot, and thanks for being with us, sir. Come back anytime you like. Thanks a lot. Sure.